Long shot here for a helicopter showing the three leaders down the road there. Miller from Great Britain, Rollick from Austria, Kammersind from Switzerland. 1 minute 20 seconds is the gap. They're sort of holding it now. The pressure's being put on by the red and white jerseys of the Polish team, and they've been ably assisted, or they are assisting, as he says he, with putting his finger just below his eye, by the Italians in the blue. So it's settling down now, and we've just been talking to Steve Bauer, who was third in this World Championship in 1984, second by Nat Whisker in the Paris-Roubaix, and many other great successes too for Canada, and was, I think, possibly the most successful Canadian run, making him blush now. But how's cycling going in Canada? Is it growing, Steve?
Yeah, we have some good riders. In the men's elite, we have a young guy named Dion. He won in San Francisco. Looks like he's an up-and-comer, good talent. We have Michael Berry in the Postal Service team. So we have a few good road guys, but we have very strong people in mountain biking. Of course, Roland Green, 2 times world champion, and Alison Sider, she's been world champion sometime. Kurt Harnett, he's now retired. I mean, through the years, we've had some good bike riders in Canada for a country that's not known for cycling, really.
Does it snow sort of very long out there? Is that the problem?
Yeah, we have to go south, but that's not too bad. Training in California or Texas.
Steve, looking ahead to the World Championship in 12 months' time, I've heard sort of press comments that Armstrong is sort of thinking of riding the Worlds in Hamilton. What's your views on that and having him up there? I mean, how far are you from the American border, for instance?
Well, Hamilton's very close to the American border, New York State, and not far from Michigan. USA is our neighbors, very close neighbors. My view on Lance, I think that he's definitely interested, and if he's motivated to do the race is actually perfect for him. There's in most recent years, it's a real strongman's course, and if Lance is motivated to come, he's got the best shot to win if he's in shape.
Well, that when he won the World Championships, Lance, in 1993, there was a stinking climb in that one. It chucked it down with rain. It was a very hard man's day, wasn't it? And people who sort of say, oh, he went to have his cancer operation, that's turned him into a different man, forget looking back to there, because he was only about 21, was he, when he won the World Championships under very tough conditions in Oslo. He beat Indurain, Ludwig, Museau, Fondres. You know, that was a good performance.
Yeah, wonderful performance. He was in amazing shape, young, talented, strong guy, and I think he took advantage of the moment at the base of the last climb. He took an attack early, and some of the favorites, Indurain and some boys back there, were kind of looking at each other, and he was just strong enough to hold them all off. You know, he made the right move at the right time, and he won it.
The fact he hasn't ridden some of these classics and this sort of thing at the back end, do you think he might be looking to change his program now? We can only speculate this, but I'd like to see him go back in riding some single-day classics if and when he wins the 5th Tour de France.
Well, I don't see him changing his program prior to the Tour de France, because that's just been such a priority for him in the last years. He'll probably do the similar kind of style in the lead up and do the same kind of races. What he'll have to do if he's going to ride the World Championships in Hamilton is adapt his schedule after the Tour de France, which is something that's going to be a must if he wants to be good 2 months after the Tour de France.
We're speaking to Steve Bauer from Canada, and North American cyclists have been getting better and better all the time. It looked like Le Monde have actually changed many things too by coming on the stream likewise. I know that Le Monde has been organising, there's a crash. I've just heard that there's it's Crevajon. There's something happening at the moment at the back of the race, Van Gullen, but they were shouting very loud just then about something. I don't quite know what has happened. Oh, it's just he's got a flat back tire. The commissaire was getting rather excited on the headphones here. Right. Going back now then to as I say, Greg LeMond. No, I've actually got a jersey with Le Monde Tours on with all the multicoloured thing. But it used to be the combined jersey or something. I put on my Scarecrow. Don't tell him this. And I won first prize in the Scarecrow competition in box. Mind you, it was sitting on my tricycle. But I'm going to show him the picture one day. He's going to love that. But
sure.
So about tours, we see you like about once a year now, twice a year with the Worlds, with your tours for the Tour de France. How's that going?
Very well, very well. I mean, the Tour de France is very popular, so we bring customers from North America, all over the United States and Canada. And this year we're going to do three different groups, see part of the Alps, see the Pyrenees, and do a final week to Paris. And it's a lot of fun. We take about 20 people per group, and They just love it. It's just a trip of a lifetime for people to come and ride some of the race course and see the boys do their thing on the mountains. I mean, it's really neat.
Do you get sort of memories and think, well, gosh, I wish I was out there still?
Well, no, I really enjoy seeing the different perspective. I think one of the things I do miss from bike racing is being part of the team when the boys are working good. The whole team, including mechanics, one years everybody's right on and you're winning and things are going well. I mean, that was a lot of fun. I mean, it's not all about, you know, the end goal and winning and stuff, because what I remember the most now and what I miss the most is the camaraderie and being with the boys, and being on the outside of that now, you miss that, I think.
Now then, you two, when we went to the ad break, you were smiling and laughing about riding your bikes and who's doing what at the moment. Either one of you, in fact, no, first of all, Sean, I've been asking all the questions. Have you got a curly one for Steve? Any question or comment, because you two raced together against each other in the old days. Something you should like to pull back out of the
yeah, well, I can pull something back. I mean, I think
go on.
I think one of the most fun times I had racing against Sean was our head-to-head competition in Tour of Ireland that one year.
Yeah.
I had the jersey on the last day, and Sean needed to take all the point sprints, and all I needed to do was take one of them, and we were coming up to the first point sprint, and the line was set in one position, and we were sprinting up, and I think Frank Hosty took it, and then Sean got second. But the thing was, we didn't really see the line, you know, and we both looked at each other like Sean got the points, but if I'd have known where the line was, I could have took it away from him.
That's what you say now.
Yeah,
was it an Irish line, Sean? Come on, own up. Did they move it? Was it movable line, Sean?
He's not going to say BS.
Well, you know, the hotspots in those days, you didn't have the big banner like having the Tour of France now for a hotspot. So you know roughly where it is, you see a number of people, so it's hard to calculate where it was, but yes, I do. I remember that one because that Nissan was a very much contested in the final stage.
The Italians are on the front here, chasing down our three breakaway riders. The gap still holding about the same, despite the pressure on the Italians and the Poles. We've been reminiscing here with Steve Bauer and Sean Kelly, and I think just a final word that Steve Bauer reminisced about the time in the Nissan. Come on, Sean, can you get your own back?
Well, no, we had some good fights in our time, you know, on the bike. I remember in the wars in Chambéry, actually, when I
did he puncture chasing down off the break?
Right, yes, yeah. I was coming across over the top of the climb. I left the guys I was with, I was chasing, and I came across Stevie. He was just the top of the climb. He had a flat rear tire, and he was looking for service. And you know, it's at that time of race, it was really just much too late. The race was over for him, and I suppose I remember that race quite clearly as well, because I did catch up with the group, and then I was beaten by Greg in the sprint, where I thought with a kilometre to go I was, you know, very sure of myself becoming world champion, but Greg was so bloody strong on that day.
And if you'd got it, he would have said if his back tire had been okay, he'd have beaten you in the sprint. Come on, Steve.
I was on a good day there that year. Probably, I look back at that World Championship at Chambéry, and I probably think that is the best one-day road race that I did in my career, because the course was extremely tough. It wasn't an easy one. It was raining all day. You had to be extremely fit. And it came down to, you know, a sprint of what, 6-7 guys, you know, so and I was very good, you know. Who knows what would have happened, but I felt confident like Sean did, and I was definitely going to catch up, because Sean, like, he was about 10 seconds behind when I got my flat tire. The reminiscing going on here. Excuse us, viewers back at home, but it's not often we can work and bring on grand champions like this, so do forgive us, we've not been looking at the race all the time. But you can see here that Rollick on the front for Austria, just behind it Britain's David Miller, and then Camazin. If you just switched on, then please accept my apologies for the fact that we reminisce occasionally, but I think that's nice to see the background of cycling, although it's harder, they're very competitive, there are no holds barred, that when the riders get together afterwards and they reminisce of the days when they were racing out there with the rain coming down, the punctures, and that Chambéry circuit was a horrific one, and that was a tremendous day's racing. That, I think, was probably the first one we covered live on Eurosport, and that was an epic finish on that particular occasion. Are we going to get an epic finish here with the sun coming down in Zolder? Beautiful days, racing conditions. It has not been as nasty and as wet and as windy as it was probably forecast by some people, but now in the
nearly 4 hours of racing as they go through, and they've got some 6 laps left to go. That's about 72 kilometres, less than 50 miles left, and the bunch behind ever vigilant, with the Poles still doing a lot of work, the Italians coming through, and it looks to me as if the Australians are going for a ride right now. They've moved up but haven't taken much of a hand in affairs. A long big string of riders. We started with 201 riders in this World Championship from 37 different nations, and if you've been watching the motorcycling and you stay with us on Eurosport and don't know much about cycling, we'll try and infill you with the tactics and will this and that and other, but excuse us then if we've been talking about the old times with Steve Bauer here and Sean Kelly. But these cyclists, all of them now, they used to take a battering, they know how hard it can be, but once off the bike it's time to, I won't say party, but it's time to look back at old days. Steve, thanks for joining us here on this occasion. Just give us the old website again for the World Championship to people who say, yeah, I'd like to go there.
Well, thanks for having me, and the World Championship website will be Hamilton2003.com.
Right, and we'll all be on there working out for information, which will build up as it goes closer to the thing, won't it?
Yeah, well, we have the homepage up so people know where to find us, some downloadable maps of the circuit, and more and more information will come, and it will be also linked to accommodation and tour packages.
Yeah, so if accommodation will be a central place, like say, I'd like to pay this amount of money for, can you send back how much? Yeah,
right, we'll have a list of hotels that people can buy into online, and ticketing and the whole package. So come and join us in Hamilton.
And I should suspect, knowing if Armstrong does ride, that people ought to start booking as soon as they get the information on their website, because once the Americans find out, they'll be flying in from north, south, east and west, surely.
Well, that'll be a good thing for the championship if Lance Armstrong comes, because I mean, he has a strong following. He's sort of the icon of the sport, being the Tour de France champion every year, and people will come to see him, and we look forward to it.
And what we also mustn't forget, though, the USA have got a lot of strong riders too anyway, haven't they? So built round Lance, they could be quite a threat for the medals.
Yeah, I think the American team would have a much better chance of victory in Hamilton than they do here. But of course, here in Zolder, Freddie Rodriguez, he's not a slow guy. He's pretty quick, and you never know. I mean, everyone talks about Mario and Zabel and McEwen, but there's a lot of boys that can go fast.
And you did in your day too. Thanks for coming here all the way from Canada. You didn't come here just to speak to Eurosport, but we've got a fishing net and found him in our hotel. Thanks for joining us today, then, Steve.
Thank you much.
Yeah, we always enjoy. Don't forget, when Tour de France, you come and join us there again as well too.
Absolutely.
Don't see you till then. Happy trip back.
Thanks.
We're changing places at Buckingham Palace. No, we're at Zolder. A changing guard at Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down. I'm getting the hang of this now. I'm enjoying this. Are you, Russ?
Well, I am, but I don't know what's been happening. I've been gone about 25.
What's different?
Well, Dave Miller attacked, and then I went off to get some guests. I got the president of Ireland, Steve Bauer, and then while I was standing there, Andrew van der Poel said, "Could you get me a hamburger? No onions, no mustard, no sauce." So I had to queue up for about 10 minutes. In the end, I gave up on the queue. I went right to the front of the queue, showed my TV pass, and he said, "You should have come at the front earlier." Anyway. Hey, the man's still there. Oh, it's great. 48 seconds. Well, Sean, who did you say was going to win today?
It's coming down there, Ross. While you're away, it was about 1 minute and 20 seconds. I don't want to tell you that. That's ruined your day, hasn't it? Because you picked him to win, Miller, didn't you?
I picked Dave Miller. We had a two-man team, and just as I believe, just as Dave Miller attacked, Julian Wing called it a day, our national champion. But he did a good job to get David Miller up there. And who was your choice, sorry, Sean? Was it Eckhout or?
Nico Eckhout.
He hasn't shown his hand yet.
And of course, you got the birthday boy.
So that's our selection. You people back at home, we're just over the halfway point. In fact, we're getting towards the 5 laps to go when they come through next time. That will be just over 50 kilometres. That's David Miller doing a lot of the work here. He's the one who started the whole thing. Camazin had a bit of a flurry. Then he recognised his tin of Red Bull, I think. He's about to pop out of his isn't it? Which he's going to chase him down the road. Riding that remarkable BMC bike, don't do it with British Motor Corporation. As we go back up here to the MBK bike of David Miller, and then we've now gone back to the main bunch, and we're talking about the bikes they're riding. We're going to take a short break. I hope you'll stay with us. Still a long way to go, but if you've got to do anything quick, it's not the time to mow the lawn, is it? We'll take the dog out for a quick leak, or whatever it is. Be back with us in about a couple of minutes. As you join us, the gap now is down to 40 seconds. And that's a unique design of these BMC bicycles. They have these strange lugs, and that's a carbon fibre tube going straight the way down to the bottom bracket. And the same thing at the front. They've got In fact, this is a slightly different one. They also have some the aluminium bike. This is a carbon fibre job, but the aluminium one also has some rather remarkable cutout. Champion at world level. And we've got with him David Miller of Great Britain and Rollick of Austria. This is the main group then chasing after him. Their cameras go back down towards the back end of the race, picking out there, that is Teutenberg. Teutenberg has had more than his fair share of troubles. He's stopped at least twice, and it looks like he's going back again. No, it looks like he's going back for a drink, but he's had something to eat. He's had a lot of problems so far, but certainly it looks like he's recovered and he's getting back into the main pack. The speed of the race you can soon pick out when they're all strung nose to tail, but surely it looks like it's slowing down a bit now. Do you think they're quite happy to hold it at 40 seconds, or they still got some work to do? Or they want to leave them out there a bit longer?
Yes, I think they're happy to leave them out there longer. This three-man group, 40 seconds of an advantage. It's a good situation for the Italians, who are surprisingly doing a lot of the work and have been doing for quite a little while now. I thought they would be showing, trying to keep everything for the end of the last number of laps and really prepare one of these Super Mario Cipollini sprints, but they're getting away with not having to do too much work here. They're just rolling through, keeping the group, as I said, at 40 seconds, and I think the other riders go on the attack, because they will realise that they're not going to take back these three riders. They're just leaving them out there, which suits the Italian team. I think they will some of the other riders attack. I see Johan Museo, he was starting to appear on the front there some time ago. O'Loughlin here from Ireland, actually, he's riding very well to be up the front here at the moment. He was down the rear quite a lot earlier on, but he must have been just taking it easy and relaxing down there, and it's nice to see him able to perform at that level. And as our president said, PJ Nolan, it was the best year we've ever had in Ireland for a World Champions, because with under 23 junior we have a lot of guys finishing a 5-man in the juniors, 5-man in the under 23s, so things are looking up for Ireland. And Nisa, when she was talking at one time there, she said, well, we've only got 2 medals here or something to that effect. A lot of countries would be very happy if they got 2 medals. So the Australians, they're doing so well. The more you get, the more they want, as they say.
There we are. There's Australia on the left-hand side of your screen. It's Robin McEwen that we're just picking up. Absolutely spot-on Kia producer must have been listening to Sean. He's found the top Australian there. Something like 24 victories so far this year, thereabouts, 24 victories, and the camera just picking him up. Yes, Russ?
Yeah, I was just wondering, we just saw Robbie McEwen there. Now, usually during the year, when we see Robbie and Chippo together in the sprints, Robbie McEwen always gets the wheel of Cipollini. So I was just wondering, Sean, do you think, obviously Chippo knows how fast McEwen is, because he beat him in the stage of the Tour of Italy. Do you think Cipollini might have someone to sweep his back wheel? Because obviously he'll have Lombardi leading him out, but surely be better, because you don't want McEwen dead on your wheel, do you?
No, you sure do not want that on the wheel, because he's so fast over the last 100 meters, and if he's in the wheel he can come over Cipollini. It's quite possible. So it would be not surprising at all if Chip will have somebody in his wheel to keep McEwen off the wheel. And who knows, there's a few good sprinters, and we have Bettini, who is good, but I think the other guy, Pataki, actually, he would probably be a good one who could, manage to do that, cause problems for McEwen.
But Pataki and Cipollini, I get the impression there's no love lost between the two of them. So is Pataki suddenly going to ride his own race near the finish? There's Alex Albon, there's another, but he seems to have gone off the boil at the moment. I shouldn't be so abrasive about that, because when we drove our car to T-Junction the other day, he was going on the front of the German string out training, and he waved to us, didn't he, Russell?
He did, but you say he was going off the boil, but didn't you and Sean hear a rumour that during the Tour of Spain he was actually going out again after the stage to do extra kilometres? Maybe he was just using it as purely as preparation. He didn't want to show his hand.
We shall see in just 5 and a bit laps from now, just about 60 kilometres yet to go, and the Australians are coming through en masse.
Just one little question for you, sorry, David. As you see the gap at 37 seconds, I always ask you questions. Do you know the nickname of Bettini? What the Italians call him? I just wanted to catch you.
I do, but it's gone. Just a minute.
Think of a sport dressed all in white.
The cricket.
There you go. Sorry, I'll keep quiet now.
But the Australians definitely are appearing to the front there. A number of them, starting to set the pace with the Italian team. It looks like that's very possibility of they controlling the thing, keeping it together. If you get a good number of the Australians up there doing that with the Italian team, well then it's going to be difficult for the guys who want to get up the road and get into a break. And I'm surprised that the Belgium team, for example, they haven't tried something with Museo, but maybe it's a little bit early for Museo yet. But the other guys like Dirksen, who goes for these long breakaways, I'm surprised he's not trying to break it up more and start attacking to cause problems for the Italian team and the Australian team.
We saw the Poles infiltrating it. They did the same thing last year in the World Championships in Lisbon, and they came through and drove for a bit and then sort of disappeared back off. They haven't really got a sprinter, and I think this is perhaps we should touch on that sort of grey area of team tactics and who they ride for, because I get the impression that some of the Poles are quite happy to get in there and help some of the Italians. Or am I just reading it wrong, Sean?
Well, that's very possible. The Polish riders, maybe they're in Italian teams. They could be some of them in those top Italian teams, and I presume they are. So maybe they're just going to ride with the Italians and try and keep it together. Possibly for the sprint of for Cipollini, I would reckon.
Here he is, Matthew. Matthew
White.
Matthew White on the front. He's a stalwart working for the US Postal Team. If anybody's going to grind away on the front, it's Matthew White. He rode himself to a standstill in the Tour of Spain. We hardly ever saw him once. He was just driving, trying to keep the thing together for the riders in the Tour of Spain. And then same thing, wherever he rides, you could always expect him to do the donkey share of the work. In the mid-race or towards the back end, then absolutely stuffed, he drops out of it. Look at the crowd now, and look there, we've got the Union Jack too. We've had the spectators coming over on their own, or maybe with some of the big tours like Baxter's Tours have brought them over as well. Many British spectators round here cheering on David Miller, but the gap is coming down. The gap at one time approaching about a minute and a half now, coming down on the pressure of the Australians. The Poles had to go in the red and white, the light blue of the Italian team too as well. Watch the clock on the right hand side to see what the gap is now, as David Miller recognises that the power is on from behind and brothers are going to try and come across and join up with them. Now if they do that, that could add some more firepower and the thing could split again if they think they've done the work. Many of the Australians there in the white and the green and the yellow who've done a bit of driving, drifting back off the front. It doesn't seem that you can continue on the front for very long before you get finding it's rather tiring and they drift back in again. A very fast race indeed. The last time we had a lap through, the average speed was 44.8 kilometres an hour.
Yes, it is difficult, to be out there on your own. It's impossible to stay away for any length of time. The only way a group is going to get away here if we see a lot of attacks and they have to do chase and take it back, and eventually they could a group get away. So if we don't have a lot of attacks in the next 2 laps, well then you're into the last 3 laps. It's going to be impossible for a break to get away unless there's a couple of guys who really work together, and that is the problem, to get everybody to pull at 100%. If you're a 5 or 6 man up front, to get that, it's rare, so it will be very difficult for a group to pull away with 3 laps to go and stay out in front. And of course the Belgian team, they have this Capella guy who is quite fast in the sprint, and they have Steels also who's there. So we've been reading about this tactic, and Museo said, well, he's going to have a go. There was other guys in the Belgium team like Van Petegem who also said that he could win the wars also, but it's difficult to know what exactly the tactic is. We never know, because you're never told the exact tactic by the team managers.
Yeah, because wasn't he the Belgian champion, Capella, too, at some point? So, and that was a bit of a surprise, but he unleashed a phenomenal sprint to get it. If you can win a sprint for a Belgian championship, you've got to have something in your legs, haven't you?
Yes, he was Belgian champion. He won last year's championship, and he is very fast, and he has won some very good sprints against the top sprinters. So if it comes down to the sprint, I think that we will see him trying to get him into position and keep him up there. But I reckon we will see a bit more of Museo and some of the other guys who won't be able to win this one in the sprint.
And of course Capel rides for AG2R, and his team leader is it be here as well? Kersey Pugh, he's down to ride. We haven't seen much of Kersey Pugh.
That's true. As Steve Bauer said, there's a lot of sprinters in there, you know, who we haven't talked about. We've talked about Mario, we've talked about McEwen. You know, we're talking about the real pure sprinters, but in a sprint like this, if a guy, you know, gets into a good position, the real sprinters get held up for a fraction of a second at the wrong moment. Well, then we could see somebody who is not, you know, in the class of Cipollini pulling off this sprint.
The time at that last lap then, 16 minutes 54 seconds, an average of 45.444 kilometres an hour for that lap. The average of the overall race is 45.5, and the time check which we had was 30 seconds coming into the circuit. You'll spot it on your picture now as they come through, and over the line they go. It's just a little bit less than 30 seconds. We've been racing now for 4 hours, 12 minutes and 54 seconds. Camazin, Miller and Rollick still in the lead, but they're just out there by a small margin, and anybody with determined effort could probably close across that. But isn't it tactically that they like to leave people out there just to, well, there you can see what is on your screen, what we've just had, just to leave them out there to fry before they really start to go. But that is surely going to be in the hands of the sprinters, Sean. As you're saying, the Musauzis, well, somebody's got to close that gap and add some firepower to it. It's crossable now, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's crossable, and it's not really the question of, you know, crossing the gap. It's to you know, to start working, shake up the bunch and try and get a group away. And the French team, you know, they started off, you know, with you know, looking to make a great race of it and to be a very attacking race on them, but we haven't seen doing anything at the moment. But you know, I'm surprised that we haven't seen like a Jackie trying to, you know, get away, because that sort of gap, just less than 30 seconds for him to, you know, to come across that gap would be no problem, and try and maybe take a few more races out of the bunch. And that seems to be the tactic the French were talking about all the time. And you know, here there's not anybody going about that at the moment. So I'm surprised that some of the teams, you know, they haven't been trying to make the race a bit more difficult before we go into the last, you know, into the last 4 laps.
But what about one-offs like Robert Hunter, who's quite a useful sprinter too? Only one of his teammates in there. He's not like a David Miller who's got to show and go down the way and do something about it. Is that going to play in the hands of like like Hunter, who can just stay in there because he's riding for South Africa? And then I also don't forget him, because of course he's been riding with the Lampe Daikin team, and they know him there. But here they're in different jerseys. It's going to take a sort of mental change to read the tactics, does it? I mean, you've ridden many times in the Irish jersey. Is there a sort of is the mind still focus on those, you know, even though they're riding in different jerseys?
Yes, well, you focus on the quality of the rider and, you know, his capabilities of the sprint, and that's, you know, you wouldn't think about the national teams at all, although you know that he's there. But I think a bit further down you have to think about what trade team he's riding for, and you have to look at that also, because a rider's in a jersey there, but he might not be exactly riding for that jersey he has on his back today. He could be riding for another rider in a different jersey. So you have to calculate all that, and it is, you know, it takes a bit of, you know, you have to concentrate out there when you're not only just on the race itself, but the tactic of the other guys and what way they could be going to do, play that tactic.
And still pedal your bike at 45 kilometres an hour.
Of course.
Are you glad you retired?
Well, as Steve said, you know, when you're in there as a bike rider, and you know, it's difficult. There's some terrible races to ride, like the classic races and the World Championships, the difficult circuits. They can be very, very difficult, but it's a good life, and you enjoy the life because you have so much people around you, the riders, the personnel of the team, all of that. You know, you get a great amount of pleasure out of that, and then winning is a bonus on top of that, because everybody, you know, gets so much out of the win. It gives everybody so much of a buzz. So when you come out of it, you know, you kind of realise then what it's all about, because when you're in there you take a lot of it for granted.
At the moment then, Rollick on the front for Austria. Then just behind him is Britain's David Miller, the Scotsman in full flight here. I'm sure his mother Avril, watching Eurosport somewhere back in High Wycombe, and Frances, his sister, will be making notes on the website. So you could probably follow David's thoughts after this race on the It's Miller Time website. Just behind him, Camazin, the ex-world champion, is also still driving this break, but the bunch is only about 30 seconds back. Welcome back. Christophe Moreau, who went away on that long break. I think he's done his work here. The French tried to break the field up early on. We had Jackie Durand go. He got caught. Even Laurent Jalabert started to go toward the front, but in the end they managed to get Christophe Moreau out there, and he's now retired from the race. He actually went away on the second of the lap. They're 12 kilometre laps, so about 15 kilometres into the race he went away, and he stayed right the way through. Lap 3, lead was 1:40. Lap 4, lead 2 minutes. Lap 5, lead 1:59. Lap 6, 2:36. Lap 7, 3:39. So it looked like they might be able to stay away, but then suddenly the pressure started to come, and then they caught him just after that. So he's now retired from the race, and Voigt has now, by the way, just had to change a wheel at the back then. Voigt of Germany has now had to stop and change a wheel at the back, coming over headphones here. And Bodrogi is also retired from the fray while you're having the advertisements, which we applaud, because I know you don't like to lose the continuity, but we like the money in the bank. Anyway, Bodrogi's climbed off his bike, the bête noire of David Miller in the World Time Trial Championship this year for the elite men. Bodrogi finished in 4th spot, and there he is now, but taking his change of bike or wheel. It looks like a complete bike now then, and as I say, that Bodrogi was 4th in the Time Trial Championship of the world. David Miller finishing 6th. That was just a few days ago from now. David Miller is still out in the front, and his bête noire Bodrogi is now sitting in the pits. His race is run. Now then, after the news, we're now going to turn to the weather, and Sean Kelly, the weatherman, is now to pronounce what he thinks is going to happen. Sean.
Well, I was just, when we're on the break, you know, it's getting a bit darker here again, more clouds coming in. We had, for a number of laps, the sun was coming out, it was looking very bright, and this is the same situation we had yesterday evening, actually. The rain started coming down for the ladies' race, so, you know, it's I'm hoping it's not going to come down, because it would make it, you know, very, very dangerous. And these guys, you know, the way they're going to race in the end, there will be a lot of guys sliding out, and you know, it's not a good thing for the big favourites, because you can get knocked out so easy. A guy come down in front of you, slide off yourself, and your race is over. As we see with the ladies yesterday, you know, you don't get it through. You don't get the chance to complete your race maybe at the best of your capabilities and the best of your fitness.
That's right, because when the rain came down, that three-man break, I've done it now, a three-man break in the women's race. Russell did the same thing the other way, the other day. Right, a three-woman break in the women's race. When they went away, it suddenly started to rain, and the conditions just made it difficult to get across. The way the Swedish girl went across was absolutely phenomenal, to just jump across and get to those leading three, and then pushed Sarah Culling off the rostrum then by putting it back into 4th spot. But that did make a hell of a change, and the British rider, if you didn't see it, Nicole Cook was delayed in the rain, and most of the riders have been riding very well indeed for Great Britain, were delayed in the wet conditions, and that ruined the whole race. But there's a long, lanky David Miller still going on. If the rain came down now, things could change, but I suppose a bit like the rain, cricket, you know, stops play when it chucks it down with rain. In this case, I think it will make a different sort of rain. As they go across this lovely lake, this is part of an amazing country park in the background there. If you ever get a chance to come across, it's well worth coming to this part of the world. We were out there the other day watching veteran cars and old-fashioned bikes and motorcycles doing an evening criterium just not far from here. Very interesting evening it was too, as well, as the whole of this part of the world in Belgium was going all fait for the World Championships.
Yeah, I've just been running through the list as well, and some of the other names that we haven't actually mentioned, especially for Belgium, of course, is Joe Plancard, and of course his uncle who won a stage in the Tour de France here. And also one other rider, a one-man team from New Zealand, Julian Dean. I know he's not a top sprinter, but like you said, Sean, if some of the other top guys like Chippo, Zabel don't get it quite right, then maybe someone like a one-man team like Julian could be on the right wheel. And plus, he's got a good director sportif in Bjarne Riis.
That's true. You know, sprinting is such is down to such a fine art, and as I said some time ago, you know, the calculation, you can't get held up at a moment in the sprint, and if that happens, well, then we could see somebody who's not really, you know, in the top 4 or 5 sprinters and could, you know, actually pull it off here, because the road is very wide. There's a lot of space for guys to come around each other, where if it's a narrower road, well, then it's a bit more difficult to get a space to come through.
And one thing about this finish today, it's a dead straight line. Well, the last 300 meters is dead straight. Last year about the sprint finish at Plouay in Portugal. It curved round a bit, didn't it? It was sort of swinging round, and they were all getting onto the barriers on the right-hand side as they came in, left-hand side as we looked at it. This one seems to be that you're quite right. You could almost use either side of the finishing straight. There's no wind either to make it say, well, this is better or that's better. So it's going to be a very open race, isn't it?
Yes, and a lot depends on what, the way the sprint is prepared. If Super Mario has this 5 or 6 Italians who are going to drive it, and they can drive it, they're still in good enough shape to be able to do that over the last 5 or 6 kilometers at a very high pace, well then it's more difficult for guys to move up because it's going so fast. But if he hasn't got that, and there's not a team who can really pull it along and groups a bit more together, and Mario, he can get a little bit held in, and the same for McEwen. So it is possible that we will see a surprise winner here, but he has to be some sort of a sprinter. You're not going to have a guy who can't sprint at all get up here if it comes down to a bunch sprint.
Well, the last time we used this circuit, Harm Ottenbros was the winner. Now David Miller looks back to say, well, my race, I won't say exactly run, but it's time perhaps to go back into the pack. Sensibly he's sitting up there in his nice Great Britain strip made by these Impsport people who, like we talk about the Irish strip, I think the British strip is much better this year. Well worth buying, by the way, and representing your country. It is available in the cycle shops, as I'm sure the Irish strip will be as well. In fact, all the top strips are available there too, but the Great Britain jersey now, thank goodness they've gone back to red, white and blue. We had that period when we had a sort of manky yellow colour. I would almost use a different word in front of yellow, but it was a yucky yellow, and now we're back to good old red, white and blue. Same thing here with the men from Orange. That's the Netherlands, and the Dutchman here with a new strip as well. Very nice smart gear it is too, but it isn't the gear, it isn't the clothing, it's the legs that's going to carry the winner into the finish line. About 4.5 laps to go. The Norwegian flags are flying there, and certainly the flags, and look, there's a British flag, there we've got the Italian flag, the French flag, the Dutch flag, all the way from Australia too as well. It's amazing too, Sean. I mean, you weren't racing that long ago, but it seems to me now there's more supporters come from all over the world with their flags. It makes it so much colourful, and if you look back at the old black and white pictures way before your time, like in the 1950s or 60s, when it was in black and white and everything else, the people were sort of dressed in ordinary sober clothing. This is a very colourful atmosphere, isn't it?
Yes, well, it's cycling and cycle racing. It has got much more colourful. The spectators with their big flags has made more colour, but also the clothing and the bikes. It's got much more colourful, and certainly Cipollini, he has done a lot over the years with his outfits and his gear. He has changed cycling a lot. And I think it's a good thing for cycling, because that image, the younger generation, I think is a good attraction to get them in, because that's what they like today.
Well, the Colombian rider has been dropped out. I think Botero's been dropped, by the way. We saw him at the back. I'm just hearing over headphones. One of the Colombian riders has gone off the back. While we were chatting a bit back, we did see the yellow jersey of Colombia. Botero came into this time trial race a few days ago saying he was sick. He got the la grippe. He got the flu. He wasn't happy, and then goes and wins the time trial. And he's an up and down rider. One day is good, one day is bad. A bit like Kurok's Egg, I suppose, good in parts, but he's off the back at the moment and maybe trying to get back. Did you hear the story about Botero? Because your friend Danielle was telling us the story, because I think they've been staying near Vilvoorde, the company. Have you caught up with that, Sean?
Yes, I met Danielle there on yesterday or on Friday, and he said that they were staying in Vilvoorde, which I was surprised they were staying. It's quite a bit. Vilvoorde is probably maybe 100 kilometres, so I was surprised they were that far down.
Perhaps he trained here riding on his bike. And I've seen all sorts of stories that evidently he's been given a medal by the Colombian president or something. He's had lawyers coming across us to sort out his contract for next year. I don't know, because Daniel speaks half English, half French, half Flemish. I speak a bit of French, a bit of English, but no Flemish. Have you heard anything about the contracts for Botero?
Well, yes, he has got a contract with Kelme for next year, but there's some of the teams want to buy out his contract, so he has a few interested teams, and they've been looking at that. And I suppose the most surprising thing is, if you look back 8 or 10 years ago, the Colombians in time trial, they were nil, and now they've come through, and Botero's been there winning time trials in the Tour of France. But it's a major surprise when you look back 10 years ago. If you ask that question to people, would we have a world champion in time trial from Colombia, and you know, I think most people say you will never see that.
So it's a rumour or not that he's got a medal of honour from the president of Colombia, we don't know yet. Czech Cycling Weekly coming up on Thursday, and or Cycle Sport or Pro Cycling or other magazines, which will be coming out in about 10 days time from now, and read all about it. I put in these plugs, by the way. It's not because I get paid to have these things. So in fact, I buy my copies of all these magazines. That it's just that many people get involved in cycling and say, we enjoyed that, we saw the World Championship. Look at these people who come from far and wide to sing. I'd like to know more about it. Well, there are the weekly magazine is Cycling Weekly every Thursday, and Newsday can get it for you. And every month, Cycle Sport, Pro Cycling, Cycling Plus. They're really ripping these things to pieces now. They're coming through with 4 laps to go. They're really, it's just trying to rip the thing absolutely into little tiny shreds. We started with 201 riders, and they're all hanging on in there. We've only lost about 10 riders or so. So they've about 180, 190 riders here. Anybody, if they stays in there, they will say, and they're saying, I've got a chance of winning the Championship of the World in front of this crowd. Left-hand side, that's all the VIPs who've been entertained in those tents. They've had a super lunch. They've now finished. They're watching the track riders come through here. They can look up and they'll find just up on the slope there's about 3 or 4 of these enormous screens showing the pictures you're seeing all around this circuit on Zolder, and then further out around the course too. Again, the great big screens are there so people can see it. They can listen on the loudspeakers. The way that cycling is being presented now is getting better and better and better, and if the President of Colombia has given a special medal to Mr. Botero for his time trialling, then I think he deserved it very much indeed, because one thing in the old days was the Colombians couldn't, one of the World Championships, or might have been a Tour de France. I remember I was saying that the Colombian coming up and not very good at climbing, and he went down the slope of the time trial and he just fell off his bike at the end of the slope. As Dixon now goes on, these are the hard men coming through now, and I think if Botero's trying to get back, he'll have to go like stink, because again the Belgians, Sean, you were saying we haven't seen much of them. Do you think somebody said, well, go 4 laps in the finish?
Yes, that's possible, but I would have expected the likes of Dixon to start going a bit earlier, but you know, I think we will see a bit more action from some of the guys like Dixon. We see the Dutch guy Van Heijswijk there, he had to go, you know, another country maybe who don't have got a sprinter, or maybe they think that Kurt can win this one. I don't, you know, I don't think so. But again, as I said before, it's very difficult to know exactly what sort of a tactic they've worked out. Maybe a lot of the teams who have any sort of a fair sprinter has come to the decision that, well, you know, it's the only chance you have to try and work for a sprinter, because to get away on this course is going to be impossible.
And trying to get away on this course looks like, I think it might win the French ride. So difficult for a helicopter here to picking out the light blue jerseys with something on the back is normally the French riders. And so off we go yet again. It is one of the French riders. My beady old eyes are still steaming up with the glasses, by the way. But yet we have another attack that we don't think they've got a decent sprinter. Well, they've got a good sprinter, but can he last the distance? Maybe somebody like young Casper can survive the distance, because there's no ups and downs. He could sit in there and be drafted away, but the French have been firing riders left, right and centre. Nicolas Jalabert going perhaps down the road to set it up for his brother, who is riding his last pro race, but goodness knows what the French tactics are. Campari is on the attack at the moment. Cantarella has gone out with Nicolas Jalabert. Perhaps an abortive attempt to stay away, because the bunch is really going. Russell Williams, repeat what you just said. Big licks, come on, and the movement of the hands, come on.
Well, no,
what's going to happen in the last lap?
No, Sean and I were just talking in the intermission there about the weather.
Don't quieten down. Let's have a look. Go on.
Well, no, we're talking about the weather, and we said, look, hopefully it's going to be a nice dry day. And I said, if it's going to be dry, which it is, in the next 4 laps, you see these guys here, we can have a Italian lead out from about, I don't know, 10, 15 Ks out, because I've just been looking down at the team. Apart from, I mean, obviously we're all going for Cipollini. I mean, he's got people like Lombardi, but he's got the rest of the guys who are going to be strong. People like Nardello and Shinto, and they're going to be strung out. They're going to be strung out, and they're going to be going about 38 miles an hour. And that man Cipollini is going to be tucked in nicely.
Who else is in the team, Russ? Go and run down the whole list.
In the Italian team, well, the main person we've got to look out for, if you're looking down for your numbers, is of course Mario Cipollini, which is number 17. But they did come with a strong team. They've got people like De Luca, Bettini, the little cricket. But the big workers, I mean, we've got the second sprinter in Pataki, so if anything goes wrong for Cipollini, but it's the workhorses, the people you don't see like Tassato and Shinto and Sacchi, and of course Nardello is a former Italian champion. I tell you what, it's going to be those last few laps.
Oh, I wish we'd got a camera, because in the ad break, one and only Mr. Russell Hamilton Williams, yes, that's where the World Champions are going to be held next year, Hamilton. That's his second name. We only found it out as it looks. Oh, Jen's voice is talking about the problems he had. See if we can pick it up on the sound. No, anyway, Russell was jumping up and down. Sorry we couldn't sort of preserve that for you to see it, but he was getting very excited about the sprint and with somewhere to go. Nicolas Jalabert there, and Cancellara, been a very good rider right from junior, working his way through, getting himself medals, and the Swiss have fired off yet again. They've been having cameras in down the road. We saw Zolder having a go earlier on. Now Cancellara's gone down there, taking with him Jalabert, that's Nicolas, and a long time the French had one man down the road, Moreau, who's now retired from the fray. I think what they've been trying to do is just get a man down the road and win on a lone break, but here the Australians coming through in the white, the green and the yellow. Yet again, it's a tremendous performance that we're seeing. He's always out there, always having a go, Matthew White, and he's a stalwart, and to have a man like that in the team. The Australians having a full team here, and we in Great Britain have only got 2 riders in this race. Come on, lads, get stuck in and get some UCI points.
Well, we're down to just one now, because Julian Wynne did an absolutely fantastic job as the reigning British champion. He looked after David Miller for the first half of the race, and of course David Miller went off and did the business since then. But just going back to the 2 riders away, Nicolas Jalabert, I mean, he punched it early on, but he got back to the main bunch, and now he's up the road. But as you can see here, these are the strong teams, aren't they, Sean? We're looking at the Italian team in the all blue there, of course working for Cipollini and possibly Pataki, and then of course you've got the Australians. But we're all talking about McEwen, but also Baden Cook. I mean, he's very fast, and of course O'Grady as well. And also, what we haven't talked about is World Pursuit champion over 4Ks. Won the stage in the tour. McGee, of course. If they mess around in the last few kilometres and he does a long one.
We spoke to Nisa all the way from Adelaide about the team. You were busy getting the hamburgers for Adrie van der Poel.
Hey, teamwork. Isn't that right, Sean? Isn't that right, Sean? It's all that team, being a team member.
You've got to get the team. You've got to go to the mistakes.
Our good domestic Russell Williams, and occasionally we lead him out too in the sprint, right? and he takes over. Well, I'm sure, Russell, that the viewers would like me to thank you for the coverage of the track champions of the world. You and Mike Smith there, exciting people. That was a great day, and now we've got the Belgians going, who have nothing to do on the track, by the way. They're completely no hopers. They have to do something on the road, and the whole of the circuit is erupting now as Dirksen goes. This man, absolutely tremendous. He is a lionheart. He's probably the oldest man in the race, and he's still not stopped going eyeballs out. Where's he come from? Look at his bum. Belgium. Now then, Sean, what drives this bloke? I mean, you kept going for long years, but he's a one-off, isn't he?
Yes, he certainly is, and he's, you know, he's one of these guys like the Jackie Durans. He goes on these long breakaways, and we've seen him do it on a number of occasions. I'm surprised that he hasn't been more active earlier on in this race, because you know, to get away with a long way out, maybe 8 or 10 laps from the finish, and he hasn't been, you know, very active at all. He's made a few attempts, but nothing really what we've seen him do and what he's capable of doing. But you know, who knows his tactic here? If he gets, you know, if he gets to get a gap here, and maybe 1 or 2 riders come up to him, and the right sort of riders, they could do a lot of damage, because he can ride, you know, so fast. He's as good as 2 or 3 other riders maybe up there in a group. But the way things are working at the moment with the Italians on the front and the Australians, quite a number working there with him, it's going to be, you know, very difficult for anybody or any group to stay away. And he's, you know, he's given it everything here. He's taken all the risk, as we see. You know, he ran very, very wide there. Luckily that the road is dried up well, because, you know, he would not be able to do it at that speed if it was a little bit wet.
It was damp this morning when we arrived. We started this race at 10:30 Central European time. That's 9:30 for you people back in Great Britain. For those who got here just in time, in fact, Sean Kelly, I think, was probably a bit worried. He got here well in advance of us, arriving in on the UCI bus from the Holiday Inn, because he thumbed the lift on that one. We were turned back from our normal entry to the circuit. We had to do another, 15-20 miles before we found another place to get onto the circuit, and Russell Williams James and myself got here with 5 minutes to go for the off of this race this morning, and we picked up along the way John Herity, who had been in the British team car going to the start. They'd got David Miller's bike on board, and somehow a policeman claimed that they ran into him. I think the traffic was stationary at the time, and he stopped the car from going any further. He wouldn't listen to any more excuses, and the police here, by the way, are very tight indeed. And so in the end, the team car was allowed to go on while they almost handcuffed John Herity to the barriers. And then in the end, another policeman came along and said that it wasn't anything this chap was claiming. So we picked up John Herity with something lift into the finish. We were here in time to see an interesting bike race. David Miller's bike arrived in time for him to sign. He's had a great day so far. Miller's gone back into the main group. He went on that break. He tried to do the best he could, but he didn't get more than a couple of riders with him, and now it's eyeballs out. But the speed has shot up with the last lap, by the way. 45.552 was the average speed of the race. They've got around about 200 kilometres under their belt, and they are going all the way around this circuit for a full 256 kilometres, and it's real racing time now. Bettini's moved forward up towards that front end. Sean, we've been waiting and saying any minute now the Prevail was going to hit the fan. Is this the moment?
Yes, I think certainly now, we're coming up to into the last 3 laps. We've seen Bogart there having a go, so I think it will be all attacking from here on in. Riders trying to get away, and we will see the Italian team and the Australian team probably just setting the pace on the front end. It's a question, will they be able to keep these groups pulled back? They'll just keep riding on the front, allow them to take a gap of a number of seconds, 15 seconds maybe max, and just pull them back in each time. But will they be able to do that? Because I think there will be a lot of attacks from here on to the finish.
Here they go, they're pulling him back. That's it. I suppose, Sean, there's a number of rides back there. I'm pretty sure I can see Kursipu's jersey back there. The further they are back, the more the draft's going on, and I wouldn't say that it's easy to ride at 45 kilometres an hour for this length of time, but it's how can I put it? We don't seem to be able to get the gaps opening up that are going to cause anybody to start chasing. Without the wind here, a lot of riders at the back. I won't say they've had an easy ride, but it's going to make it very difficult, isn't it, for deciding who's going to come in at the back with the strong legs and to push this speed up, because to escape when they're doing 45 kilometres an hour, you've got to go 50-55.
Yes, well, as I said earlier on the day, you would need a lot of attacking, and the race, I was expecting the race to be more active, more attacking from a lot of the teams who haven't got a real good sprinter. But we haven't got that, so it's going to be very, very difficult for a group to get away now, considering all of that. And as you said, when they're going at 45 k's an hour, to get away, you have to get very strong riders that are prepared to ride on the limit, and you need 3 or 4 of them to have any chance of forming a group and getting a gap.
One trying from Kazakhstan to come across, coming in at the end of lap 17, 3 to go, and the Belgian rider marks him out. That is fairly typical of Belgium, and it's going eyeballs out. Can you hear the noise? Will, shut up, just let the atmosphere take over here at Zolder. Only 3 laps to go. There's about 185 riders left from the 201 that started. They're in one big line. Everybody going like stink. They've all got their part to play. Some riding with big teams. Now they've got to close down the gaps. Some riders like Hunter from South Africa waiting to stay in there. He's only got his teammate Kenny Meyer to look after him, and Hunter would like to be in their sprint. So there's 1 or 2 sprinters from nations. We've also got to think about the way in which people like Kursipu will be hanging on in there, trying to get a break, going to find himself in the right place at the right time. And Bettini's moved forward, marking down this early move. Do you think that might be the tactics then for Bettini to go out here with Cipollini being further back, Sean? Because he's been marking a lot of moves in the last lap and a half.
Yes, well, we've seen him if they've been a dangerous looking group getting away. We've seen Bettini, react and be in it, and you've seen him up the front. So it is possible it's the Italian tactic that if there's a group getting away, if we can get Bettini into it, well then it's a good move, because he is very fast in the sprint, and if he can get away in a group of 5 or 10 riders, well then he's a good chance, unless there's a real sprinter in it, which would be rare. He would be up there. So it is probably the tactic of the Italians.
At the end of lap 17, Vundercroft was the man who came across the lead in the front, and he was marked out by the Belgian. We now sussed him out. It was Nico Eekhout, who's been picked by Sean Kelly as the winner. No, Sean, he's got another 2 laps to go. 3 laps to go.
If he can react up there, he has to be feeling pretty good. Otherwise, you're not there. So it's looking good for me.
Confirming in the lap time, 15 minutes and 24 seconds, an average speed of 49.8 kilometers an hour. The overall average is 45.8 kilometers per hour, and the total elapsed time 4 hours and 44 minutes. Just imagine that, you viewers back in Great Britain, all 3 of you sitting on your sofa, having, I hope, your Belgian beer and a few frites and mayonnaise. We haven't found any frites and mayonnaise. We've found the Belgian beer, but no frites and mayonnaise at that sort of speed. 49.8 kilometers an hour. That's over 30 miles an hour for the 12 kilometers they've just covered. The overall average of the race is 45.8. We've never seen a world championship this fast before. They've actually covered now 217 kilometers of racing, and this was lap 17. They got 3 more laps yet to go, and the order they came across the line, just to give you some idea who was actually at the front screwing the bobbin. Vundercroft was first across the line for Kazakhstan. Unusual to see him going, but there again, he hasn't got a sprint, so I suppose he's going to try and stretch it a bit. Nico Eekhout, Sean Kelly's pick of the pops to win the race overall, was in second spot. Then Bettini, Dumo, Zeberg, Brochard, Bogard, Grabsch, Hushford, Bonen, Michelson, Voskamp, Struck, Tosata, Piskis, Petaki, Ivanov, Verhoeven and Rogers. Most of those names will be very familiar to our cycling viewers. They may not mean much to you normal followers of cycling, but I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing here. The excitement, the colour. Again, the riders from the Netherlands have been working up near the front. Sean, surely when you've been at the back, then to get way back at the front, have the power to come off the front. This is with a long string like this, with over 200 riders signed, 201 to be precise. There's a lot more left at this stage than I normally expect to see in a World Championships.
Yes, well, there certainly is, and the lap is accounting for a lot of that, because it's a flat circuit, so everybody can hang in there, and a lot of riders will be fresher as well, because they haven't raced that hard, and so I think we'll see much more riders up here in the front, and we see Bettini once again in that group of 4 men who are up the front at the moment. We see Van Heijswyck is there also, who really started off that group. He went in the attack, but Bettini, as we said just some time ago, that he's very active and hopping into any group that looks any little bit dangerous at all. So it certainly must be the tactic of the Italians that Bettini has a free hand.
Excuse me, you said it hasn't been too hard so far. 45.8 kilometers an hour. That's a phenomenal fast speed, but I suppose it's the flatness and the big group swanning along in the centre enables them to do this, Sean, because just think of the average person out there watching what we're talking about now, that 48 kilometers an hour is 30 miles an hour, so they're just a bit below. I suppose they're around about 28 miles an hour for this race so far. That's not hanging about, is it? But I suppose, is it easy on the flat in the bunch like that?
Well, it's easy in the bunch if you're, if you have to do the pulling on the front, and the guys who have been out front, like we see Moreau them, and when you're doing something like that, yes, it's very it's difficult, and as we see Moreau, he's out of the race already when you start working as a hare, as they call it. But if you're sitting in a bunch, and like of Cipollini, McEwen, we haven't seen them really comfortable. They haven't been in the front at all. They've been in there 20, 30 position, 40 position, sitting there in a very sheltered area and just waiting and play that waiting game.
Miller did not play a waiting game. He's just been switching on, having come out from riding a bike. It looks like Cipollini moving forward there. Yeah, it is. No, it isn't. No, my mistake. I just look at the top of his hat. It isn't him. No.
The orange jersey there, back in about 4th place, is Bobby Traxel, the young rider from Netherlands. He's been riding very aggressively since the beginning.
The early attack then, well, halfway through the race. The early attack, first of all, was by Moreau from France. He went out there. Those who just come in now want to know what happened so far on the second lap after Jackie Durand had a bit of a fling on the first lap. Laurent Jalabert nearly put himself into the but he joined up with Durand to be in the early break and thought better went back in. Durand went off a bit, and then Moreau, who nearly parked his bike against the barriers on the first lap, took over the race lead. He went off with Muryayev of Kazakhstan. That was on lap 2 when they averaged 46.6 kilometers an hour. And then the two leaders pressed on with their advantage. By the end of lap 3, the lead was 1 minute and 40 seconds. They kept gaining time all the way through. It's around about 2 minutes by the time they came through lap 4. Lap 5, despite the puncture to Van Petegem, he got back on a very fast lap. It was 45.9 kilometers per hour of average overall. And the two leaders then had a lead of 1 minute and 59 seconds. Again, Moreau and Muryayev going through lap 6. They were at lead of 2 minutes and 36 seconds, and then after some flurry of activity to try and pull him back, it didn't happen as far as Murayev's concerned. The leaders were then at 3 minutes and 39 seconds. And then from then onwards, the bunch decided to accelerate, and then with about 9 laps to go, they caught the breakaway riders. Moreau, in fact, had dropped his Kazakhstan breakaway rider. Moreau's now retired from the race. He did what he had to do, and the French have been trying to fire riders off down the road. We saw Nicolas Jalabert also go off down the road too, but that was after David Miller had gone on the attack. He did about 3 laps out there with Rolik and Kamazin. They never got more than about 1 minute and 30 seconds. That was not enough to stay out of sight on particularly the wide open spaces of the motor race circuit. So David Miller's gone back into the bunch now, and the race again fairly hot. The last time check showing when they went through at the end of lap 17, the average was 45.8 kilometers per hour. That's the overall average. The elapsed time 4 hours and 44 minutes, and the lap time which they just went through in 15 minutes and 24 seconds for the 12.8 kilometers, an average of 49.8. Right, still back over that land. This has been reclaimed. You can see how that road goes across the top. There's a great big lake there, and there's some beautiful places where the wild birds congregate. In fact, it's part of an enormous great park which is very much devoted to agriculture. You can go there and you can see displays, flower displays. You can go and see vegetable displays. It's a marvellous place, a lovely great big castle too as well. It's the biggest place in the whole of Belgium where you can go for outdoor entertainment, not with these places with the great big whirly-girlies and swings. Let's have a look what's happening now. Is it going to work, Sean? Yet another one dying a death, or is he going to manage it?
Well, he's having a go. This is Eichhout, the Belgian rider. He's having a go here. So, as I said earlier, when he was up in the front and he was hopping into the breakaways that were trying to get away, well, you have to be feeling okay to be able to do that at this moment. And he's going in the attack here, and he's done that, I think, in a Travel à Belgique or Waregem, some of those races where he went out on his own and he held the guys off with a very slender lead for the last 25 Ks. But if he can be joined by 2 or 3 riders, well then, you know, it's possible. But with the Italians riding, it's always going to be difficult to do it.
The riders have just strung round the corner here past the St. Quirinus church. They're going along the west of the Lahn, which is going to be parallel to the motorway. Then they're going to turn right again. Sean Kelly has picked this man as being a chance to win the whole of the World Championship. He's got a long way to go, because when he comes through the finishing line, he still has 2 laps to go. He's got to go down this road here, turn sharp right, again working in towards the finish. The Zolder circuit, and when he gets there, I'm sure the whole place will roll. There's a massive screen not far from that commentary point here where the people can watch what's going on, and even further around the course there are another 3 or 4 on the Zolder circuit and out on the main course too. So the Belgians can see what's going on, but they're going to now, I think, go because he's going to be caught. You need a motor to get away from this lot, Sean. It's so fast, isn't it?
You certainly do. You know, the Italians, 4 or 5 riders up front riding there. It's, you know,
blast, he says.
Impossible for a rider to get away on his own. You need 3 or 4, you know, really strong riders who prepare to, you know, do the pace pulling and give it 100%. That's the only chance, and to get that you always have a guy who wants to latch on the rear a bit and save a bit for the sprint. So, you know, it looks very like that we're going to see this sprint royale, as they've been talking about over the last number of months. That was the burning question: was it going to be a sprint or would it be a breakaway? But it looks like that, you know, it's going to come down to a sprint.
You've admitted last, haven't you, young man? All the way up to the running of this thing. We joke about these things. We said, no, Sean said it won't be a big sprint finish, but then that was thinking there might be wind and rain, and it's been a gorgeous day, hasn't it? So I suppose the weather makes a tremendous difference to the race right now, but we're going to be treated then probably one of the biggest sprints in the history of cycling, which you never know with bike racing, do you?
No, you never know, and you know, it looks very like that, but you know, they could in the last couple of kilometres there could be a few that slip away, but it looks very doubtful, as we see Museo here having a go now, and
he's my tip,
and Bettini is reacting immediately, as we've been saying earlier on. Anything dangerous, Bettini has been onto it immediately, and you know, going on with it.
Well, the King of Belgium's going to come here to the finish, and if Belgium wins the World Championship, I'm sure he'll give him his crown, I suppose, at the end of it all. The Belgians, the majority of the audience here are from Belgium, but we've seen the flags from all across Europe, and they're getting very elated now. There's only a few places on this circuit where it goes up, but that is one there, which is a critical way to go and wind the thing up as Museo looks back to see what damage he's done. But Bettini follows him. He seems to be like a little, he just follows like a little terrier, doesn't he? Bam! And then he pounces.
And of course they'll be teammates next year, but which one of them will have the World Championship jersey?
I'm just waiting for confirmation over the radio tour in my headphones here as to which of the American riders is here. They've just said it's American team riders up there. They haven't done, we've now got it 115, and it's in fact it's Guido Treni. Oh, now this is interesting. He is an Italian, but he's actually registered with his in the USA. He's got an Italian father and I think his American mother, and he actually has there was a lot of this worry about him riding for the American team. They thought he would actually be in there riding with the Italian team.
And what team does he ride for in Italy? The Lion King.
No.
Yes.
No, you don't think there's something else going on, do you?
Oh, not at all. Like Sean said, they only ride for their jerseys, not for the cash in the pocket.
Yes, you know, World Championships is a World Championships is an event, and you know, it's not every year that you find yourself up in front of the World Championships, because first of all you have to get it right, be in shape, and it doesn't work out every year just like that. So when a guy is up there, like this guy here, Trentin, you know, he's definitely going to give it a go, and he thinks about this jersey, and everybody dreams about that, you know, winning a World Championship.
Sweden now coming into the fray. Well, they got that wonderful success the other day in the Women's Elite Championship of the World. Can they pull this one off? But it's a lonely furrow, and surely, Sean, Hunter's there too, because the top left-hand corner of your screen, there's the sprint boys are getting near the front now, eh? And we've got 2 laps to go.
And the guy in second place, that's Patacchi, of course, the Italian second sprinter, so...
This is going to be the longest sprint in the world, isn't it? It's been running now for nearly 5 hours.
Yes, well, it is definitely going to be, you know, it looks like it's going to be a great showdown in the sprint. But again, you know, the Italians are riding very strong up in there, but we've often seen that the kind of moment when they just hesitate and a number of riders slip away.
Yet again, the riders from Switzerland firing a man off the front and trying to make a break when nobody's watching. It's Abersold, ex-champion of Switzerland, Nicky Abersold, going down the road, those 3 riders, but my goodness, the speed. In our commentary point here, they're still going past where we are, and that lot you're seeing on your screen must be at least 300, 400 yards down the road. It's one long string. And the Dutch have lost one of their riders. I think he may have had a problem just going past our commentary point, Van Dijk. And some more riders being shelled out, and we're looking to see who it is going off the back. Anybody of great significance? One of the French riders have just gone off the back too as well. And off the front they go yet again. Well, I don't think we've ever had a world champion from the Czech Republic, but he's trying right now to get away off the front. A lonely ride as far as he's concerned, and the main bunch surely will pull him back before very long. Good luck though to Konichi of the Czech Republic. Still in the lead as we now look at the crash here, which took a moose down. He just went out on the far side. He bashed into those barriers. Even at the barriers, he did a very great job to cross the corrugated parts of the track there, because that's just about the place where Gilles Villeneuve crashed when he was in the qualifying sessions of the Formula One Belgian Grand Prix here in 1982. That was not far from the spot where he lost his life, Gilles Villeneuve. As you know now that his son is still racing out there in the Formula One. In fact, the Formula Ones were here for 10 years before they moved on to Spa. Short type circuit it is, being used for saloon car racing, truck racing, and now for the Championship of the World. We've now got inside the last 2 laps. There's going to be a penultimate lap to come. They've actually now got 24 kilometers to go to finish. That's 15 miles they leave the circuit of Zolder. Used for the World Championship for the first time when Harm Ottenbros got the Championship of the World, using not all of the roads we've got out here in the back ones, but very similar ones. 1969, Harm Ottenbros won that rainbow jersey. 1970, the World Cyclo-Cross Championship was held here too as well. And the Tour de France had a stage finish here in the 1981 when Eddie Plancard came out to be the winner. That puts you in the background of the historical circuit. We're going round. We've just come on. We're just hearing over the headphones Luxembourg asking for the team car to come up for some attention, but Konichi of the Czech Republic doing a lonely ride on the roads which are taking us around this circuit. It's somewhere to north of Hasselt. You probably find on your map about 12, 15 miles north of Hasselt, where the UCI have been staying, where Sean Kelly, sitting here, stayed in his hotel with the Irish. We enjoyed their company. We enjoyed the crack the other night, and he hitched a lift on the UCI bus to be here. Sean, this race, we've all saying it's going down to a finish, but one lonely attack like this may or may not come up. You never know, do you?
Well, I think a lone attack at this moment is going to be very difficult. You know, with a lap and a half to go. The lone attack, I think if somebody is, you know, a great finisher over the last 2 kilometers, maybe they can do that, but you need somebody who is really powerful to do that. And if there's, you know, a little bit of hesitation as well, maybe the Italian team might have to do too much before they get to the last 2 or 3 kilometers. As we see here, you know, they're just riding, but you know, they're riding on the front, but they're not having to give it everything at the moment, because this guy, like on his own, there's no way he's going to, you know, keep out there.
The Italians have marked most of the action in the last, an hour, I suppose. They've got a big squad here. They're very qualified at chasing things down, but is that going to play into the hands of other teams that haven't had to do as much work? We saw the Poles doing a bit, but suddenly the Italians have really been catapulted into the hot seat.
Yes, well, there's the Australians who have been doing a bit as well, but we haven't seen the German team at all. And you know, the likes of Zabel, you can never count him off in the sprint. And there's, you know, there's Kirsty Pierce there. There's a lot of sprinters there who, you know, we haven't been talking about a lot. So those guys, you know, could hop up there and you know, be a major surprise today.
There's Kirsty Pierce going top right of the screen in the Latvian colours, that plum-coloured jersey, not his usual AG2R strip, so it's not always that easy to pick out the riders when we come to World Champions. The white with the yellow-green bands around them, those are the Australians. How many chat down there in the centre? Robin McEwen is their star sprinter, but you can't discount people like Baden Cook, nor perhaps even with a kilometre to go, someone like O'Grady or perhaps even McGee. They've got sort of a strong, confident set of guys here at the moment. So the Italians are doing all the driving. Sean, is this to make sure no individual gets away? Are they prepared now to bury maybe 2 or 3 riders?
Yes, they definitely have to. They have to ride in the front, and the guy out the front here, you know, that's not the major problem. You know, he's only a handful of seconds out there. But if they slow down, they stop this train riding on the front. Well, then you're going to, you know, attacks coming left and right, and that is the danger point. A group of 8 or 10 riders get away, and if they ride well together, well, then it's more difficult to pull them back. So the Italians, even though there's nobody away, they have to just keep at this, and they have to keep it the pace very high, just to prevent anybody from attacking or thinking about attacking.
You mentioned about the Germans on the left-hand side. I saw one of the German strips starting to move forward here as we now go into corner and say, hey, look at this, get out the back. We're in charge here. There's a certain pecking order, isn't there, here, Sean, eh? So, if you can't stand the heat of the kitchen, get out the back.
Well, you know, it's that's something when you're riding on the front and the riders start coming up there and closing you in, it's, you know, it makes you very nervous. And you know, the Italians, you know, they are very nervous at this moment naturally. So, you know, they're going to try anything to obstruct the opposition. But, you know, they have a right to get up there as well, because the Italians, they don't have any right to the road. Everybody has a right to come up and ride where they like, within regulation, of course.
Sure, I'm just looking at the Italians. I remember they've got a 12-man squad. They're only using they're only using 3 or 4 their domestics here. So the rest are still back in the pack. People like Lombardi looking for the leader for Chippo.
I hear Lombardi's retired. I think on my headphones, once in a while I stopped talking. I was listening to, they mentioned about some there, but gave numbers, including Wynne, who's retired anyway. And I think in that one, Lombardi has retired. So that he did have a puncture, and perhaps he didn't get back. He had a few mechanical problems. So I think we could dispense with Lombardi, which is going to slim down the lead-out riders for Cipollini. Just heard that Alan Davis from Australia has just been dropped out the main pack, coming over on the headphones here whilst we're watching the racing. And again, the Italians ploughing hard at the front. The yellow strip on the right-hand side of that jersey and the sort of blacky a bit, that's the German colours. They're very changed this year, as the Australian with the white and the green and the yellow bands round, easy to pick up, start to move into the front part of the race. Kirschen from Luxembourg back into the main pack after a puncture. Now there's a German strip on the left-hand side. They're now beginning to show. We haven't seen much of them. They've changed the colours, a lot more sort of yellow and white and blue than the black and red we've had in the past with yellow. The light blue jerseys are those from Italy. Be careful not to confuse them with the French, who've got very similar jersey colours, but the French seem to have thrown in the towel at the moment. I don't think they're exactly expecting anything to happen. They've tried so hard to get people away, and with only Jimmy Casper, their sprinter, I don't know if anybody can actually lead him out, and I don't know if he's got the legs to do it. But at the blue jersey of France, we look down here, they've got the French cockerel in a sort of squirrely pattern on the back, and so that's the only way you can pick them out from here. But look at these, so those white shoulders, that sort of triangle of blue, those are the Italians massing at the front. No trouble at the back here. You can pick out the Danish and the red with the white strips. The Russian here, pale blue. That's no trouble about that. The colour of the green with the yellow splashes on it, that is the colours of South Africa, and that's the colour being worn by Robert Hunter, 146. And now McEwen's in the centre, little ditty fellow there, just following in this little lot. He's weaving in, he's amazing. Now come on, Sean, you've been in a few sprints. What about McEwen's tactics at the time we've seen him sprinting, eh?
Yes, well, McEwen, he was noted more for you know, following the sprinters and doing his own sprint, although this year we see the team doing a little bit extra for him because he was very dominant in the sprint. But until this year, really, most of the time he followed the other sprinters and tried to come off the wheel. But he's, you know, very good at that because he can follow the wheel very well. And when we spoke to him in the Tour of France, you know, we said to him, like, such a small guy, how do you manage to, you know, hold your place in the sprint and to follow those bigger sprinters like of Cipollini and like of Zabel? And he said, well, I have no problem at all, I can defend myself.
He did, didn't he? ducks underneath them. Just they lean on him, and he's like a prop, isn't he? Really, not a prop in rugby, but he's there. And of course, being an ex-BMX rider, he's not going to give up to anybody. Amazing number of BMX riders who've made their way through into cycling at the moment. Particularly on the track, we had people like Chris Hoy, Craig McLean, and Jamie Staff, and the British riders there in the World Championships doing rather well. The Australians even beating us by about 1 medal, I think, on the medal table. So at the moment, though, we don't have any chance with the British riders, because Miller had a bit of a go. The only thing he could do was to go about a third of the way to the finish, trying to get away, but it's not worked as far as he's concerned. He never got more than about a minute and a half lead with Rollick, who's with him, and Camazin, and so that's it as far as he's concerned. And it's going to be probably, as it looks now, down to the sprinters. So as they come into final lap, we can re-look at our prognostics, as they call it over here, our forecast for the victory before they go into the final lap. And let's then, you people back at home, to pick your favourites for this one. It's certainly, the way it's looking now, it's going down to a sprinter. So gentlemen in the commentary box, we started out with, I said that we'd go for, I'd like to go and see that the victory might go in for a long break, and it didn't quite happen. And now we're all looking for a sprint finish. So can we all you went for Echo, didn't you? Well, he had a try, it didn't work. Who did you go for? You went for Dave Miller.
Yeah, but now we can change it. We can all go for a sprinter, can't we?
Oh,
yes, that's what we're doing.
No, we can't change.
Eh?
No, we can't change. We have to stay with our man, because Echo is the best sprinter of the three. I think I still have a very good chance.
Well,
Museo has no chance in the bunch sprint.
No.
Miller, no, he doesn't have a chance in the bunch sprint.
Sorry, we spoke, Sean. Okay,
okay, Sean, we give in. Okay, we're not going to change the rules. No, sorry, Sean.
And a puncture.
Oh, Lastra of the Spanish team. Well, he's not going to be in the sprint at the end of it all anyway. Lastras coming in, just 15 kilometres to go. 10 miles left. Baden Cook's in there. That's Baden Cook, certainly near the front.
And there's a lot of riders we haven't seen, a lot of very good sprinters. You know, Kirsty Pugh, as we said, we haven't seen Oscar Ferreira at all, really.
We only see him when he crosses the line to get the medal.
Well, yes.
He's been twice first, and once, what was he, second or third? Looking back in the book, yeah, he was third in Plouay, he was first in Italy in Verona, and he was first in Lisbon last year. He's the reigning world champion. You're right, we haven't seen him at all, hidden in a bunch.
Yes, so there is quite a number of sprinters who we haven't seen at all, and Cipollini, we haven't seen a lot of him either. So those guys will start appearing now into the last lap. McEwen is moving up there with the last number of kilometres, so he must be feeling quite well to be still up there in the front, and as they go for the final lap.
1 lap to go then, 5 hours and 15 minutes of racing. Of the big crowd that's there, my goodness, pick a pin and you'll find the winner perhaps. Into the final lap of this race then, just about 12 kilometres left to run through. 49, nearly, in fact over 30 miles an hour has been the average speed there. A phenomenal performance by these riders. The Germans start to take over, and who do we see there on the front? Yes, you've got it, Rolf Oldag, who with his pink hat on has been the lead-out man for Zabel, trying to pull back the brakes. He's done that effectively. He's taken over now from the Italian string on the front, who's trying to set it up for the big man, Mr. Cipollini. There behind there, you see the pink hats as the other telecom riders try to set it up for Eric Zabel. And the green jersey on the side there, the two white, yellow and green jersey. We know Baden Cook is in there. In fact, there are 3 other Australians, and we've now got Nisa Shibella all the way from Adelaide. Nisa, just a quick word for us. We set the thing up. What do you think of the Australians' chances today? I know you're going to be very biased, but get in there, girl.
Well, they've been sitting back and letting all the Italians do the driving, and we haven't, as you said, seen much of Cipollini, but the boys are there. They're massing together in the front. They will work together, I'm sure. It's very exciting. 1 lap to go.
And Baden Cook,
I'm trying to work out who the third one is.
Baden's one, isn't he? And the other one's... Robbie McEwen's
I
in
can't
there.
work out whether it's Stewart or Bradley at this stage. I can't. Oh, there's 4 actually. There's 4 of them there.
They're multiplying. Before our very own. They're not going to do like they did in the Commonwealth game to take first, second and third, are they? We can see here Hunter's going through in the green too. So whatever happens back in Great Britain, David Miller did what he had to do, and we can see there the purpley coloured jersey moving at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the front. That is Cursive View. All the sprinters are getting there to close this thing down, but they've got to stay there for 12 kilometres. Nisa, thanks for coming and joining us in the last few days here on air at Eurosport. It's been up and down time for the Australians, but you haven't done bad with the medals, have you?
No, I think considering, I mean, we've come over with our strongest senior men, and really the rest of our riders have been development. I think we've done really, really well. But I'm sure, you know, the tactics are possibly our first, second and third. That'd be a coup.
But any medal will do as far as you're concerned?
Absolutely.
Right, well, we wish you well on your return back to Adelaide. Thanks for joining us so far, and I'm sure you're going to stand at the back and go Aussie, Aussie, go, Aussie, Aussie, go. And of course, many of the riders you're seeing here, this is the end of the season for many of them. They've got the Tour of Lombardy yet to come, then they'll start the season in January. Many of them you're seeing here ridden in the Tour Down Under, which is in Adelaide, and I'm sure Nissy looking forward to welcoming them there in the sunshine in early January. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Okay, Ross back in the hot seat. We're changing over, and Russell Williams now when he puts the headphones on here, Russell Williams comes from the Take No Prisoners School of Sprinting. Russell, come on, what do you think about what's going to happen now?
Well, if it's okay with Sean, I'd like to change my selection.
No, we can't do that.
Okay. Well, if I can't, Sean's laughing at me.
Well, you and I have our own competition.
Okay.
He's got it, you and me.
Well, I've got to go for Chippo because I love him. I think he's great, and I'm not the only one who loves him, because also Jan Slater actually runs the cafe at Herne Hill. Cipollino is her favourite. She loves him, so she'd be sitting on her couch now, going, "Go Mario, go and kill him, go and win it." And I feel the same.
You and I competition have a.
Oh, sorry.
He's got a code.
No. Sean can choose the second one if he likes.
No. We're having a different competition.
Oh, okay. Go on.
You and me. It's English having a competition.
Who are you going to go for?
Oscar Freire.
I tell you what, we'll let Sean in on the act. Go on, Sean.
No, he's not allowed. He's made his...
Oh, go on.
We're in
Sean.
second string.
If you're going to pick a sprinter, Sean, who would you like to have?
You've got Rowdy. You're a politician, Mr. Russell Williams.
Well, I think McEwen in the sprint, he is, he's proved this year that he's really fast over the last number of metres. Cipollini is the sort of sprinter who starts quite a bit out, and he goes for quite a long one as sprinters go, and I think McEwen will be just stuck to his wheel, and I could see McEwen just coming over him in the last number of metres.
Well, the Kings arrive. We're all standing up and behaving ourselves. No swearing, chaps, behave yourself. Right, but are the Belgians going to get anything to show for? It doesn't look like many of them at the front now. They've been trying so hard. Dixon was driving hard at the end of it all. Any chance of their sprinters, Sean?
Well, Capella, I think Capella, he can put in some performance, and he won the Belgium Championships. He put up a super sprint, and he's done that on a number of occasions in other races against very good riders. Tom Steels, who knows? Maybe he can pull something out of the bag today, although he hasn't been doing it over the last year and a half, 2 years, and over the last couple of months he hasn't been able to win sprints, so it doesn't look good from that point of view. But I think for the sprint, the Belgium's Capella is the best chance, I would reckon.
The Belgian colours are not showing at the front at the moment. We'll try and pick them out for you to see if they're going to filter their way through, but certainly the race then looking like it's going to be a thumping Great Bunch sprint finish. We've seen some horrific crashes in the other sprints so far, and my goodness, I'm sure Eurosport is going to show the trailer type things of the crashes we've had in the juniors. They went all over the place. The women had a crash coming towards the finishing straight, and the under-23s crashes left, right and centre. But these pros have just shown why they're professionals, why they're so competent on their bikes. There's been all sort of complaints about the barriers being on the edge of the road, but these pros can ride their bikes magnificently. You're watching the best in the world going for the World Championship 2002 here at Zolder.
Just on the left-hand side there, you saw Bettini. Do you know who was bringing up to the front? Mario himself. So Bettini's actually maybe...
Not much shelter there.
No, but he's actually going to probably sacrifice himself now. Maybe Franco Ballerini, who's the team director of Italy, has got it right.
We shall see. All be revealed. There's the blue jerseys in the front, moving forward.
And I think it's like Sean says, with Cipollini, he does like a straight sprint.
But the Spanish are interrupting it or getting involved too as well. So it looks to me like between Germany Yeah, there's Cipollini on the right-hand side. Can you see Russell when he's pointing at him? He's just about the top right-hand corner of your screen.
He's going don't get into the living, Russ.
Oh my goodness, what a finish we're going to have. We're getting in now towards the last half of the lap for the professional world champions. It's called the elites, but I call them pros because the way they've been riding has been so professional all the way through. They've been travelling at a record average speed. We've never had a world championship run-off like this speed. As they came in to this, they were averaging nearly 46 kilometres an hour on the last time we had a check of the overall average of this race. It's going to be a record race. Is it going to be yet another Italian victory? Will the Germans there with Zabel take the victory? Will Oscar Freire still defend his championship jersey from last year and get his third ever jersey? Will we see then little Robbie McEwen pop out and get the victory at the end of it all? Or will we perhaps see then Cursipew come from nowhere? The Belgians were hoping perhaps that Steele might do it, but he's nowhere. The interesting thing is that the Danish riders are starting to come through now. They've got their tails up since Peel got the Paris Tour last Sunday. That was a run-in for this particular race. Many of the riders you saw there go across the line together weren't bothered about sprinting. They're going to keep them so. What about Fred Rodriguez from America too? The jerseys, they're the ones to watch. We'll try and pick them out for you. Also, eyes down looking. And by the way, if your grandmother has nervous disposition, this is the time to turn her face to the wall. All hell's got to be let loose. Yes, the American jerseys down there near the front. Rodriguez got a good lead out. Three of the Australians in the white with the green and the yellow and the green bands. The Australians are stars and stripes. The Belgians are coming late on the left-hand side. That little splash of yellow and red on the blue jersey. The Belgians are coming late. John, is it Dako again? You're still sticking with him?
Well, I don't reckon it's Aiko for the sprint. I reckon Capella is the guy, and we see Van Petegem is up there as well. A number of the Belgium jerseys appearing. So I reckon it's for certainly for Capel because he's the fastest one of the Belgians there. As I said, Steels, I don't think he's fast enough, but you never know. He can maybe pull something extra out of the bag on this occasion.
Danish commentators, including Leif Mortensen, who was the past amateur champion of the world, certainly very pleased to see the Danes move forward to the front, but I'm not sure their sprinting ability will match that of people like Cipollini, McEwen, Zabel, and the big man from Latvia. Just seeing he's going to come through, Estonia, Cursipew. A lot of people in. And don't forget either, Robert Hunter from the RSA in that green and yellow jersey. He's a little diddy fat chap who can find his way through. Perhaps isn't quite at the level of the rest of them, but you never know because they can all come down this finishing straight. You can actually perm anyone from about 15 on the finishing line because they're so wide. It depends which line they take. The wind, by the way, is not going to assist anybody. It's just non-existent almost. So this is going to be the strongest man with the best lead out to Sean. Surely he's going to win. There's no sort of jiggery pokery here. It's to provide they all stay upright.
Well, the lead out is very important, and some guys love a really good lead out, and Cipollini is the one who like that.
Here it goes. Look. When they talk about the lead out,
yes.
the signals are coming now, aren't they?
Yes.
Oh, in fact, he stopped it. Yeah.
And McEwen is a guy who can, get away without not taking a great lead out because he can wriggle his way through the group very, very good. So I think we will have to see the Italians and what's left of the Italians that haven't been working here. They will have to come to the front and really turn it on and turn up the speed for Cipollini into the last 2 kilometres.
And so many Italians still at the front. When you consider all the other teams starting with about the same number, how much thinned down they are. Most of the other teams only got 2 men in there, 1 lead out and 1 special sprinter trying to find their way through. There's a crash. We've had a crash. One of the right, Kater van Derp. So that's 82 gone down. That's to Clerc. Oh, over the place, and this is the thing, if they only stay upright, we'd have had a fantastic sprint, but some of the top men might be flawed. This is mayhem. brought to you live on Eurosport, and right now anybody behind that crash is out of the race. What's left of the main field, including the Italians on the front, are going for it now, and they're starting to go on the left-hand side. One of the riders gone for a long one. The Italians might be caught out with it, chopping inside. Again, it's one of the riders from Switzerland, I think, that's gone for this one. The crash has taken out a number of riders who are just hanging about, waiting for things to happen. A bit of attack might be Sberg back there, and we can still see Cipollini's in there. He's okay at the moment. And McEwen is there.
And we see Cipollini, actually, he touched a spectator quite hard with his elbow there, which is also very dangerous, because a guy could, he could be pushed across the road, Cipollini, but that was a massive pile-up, and as you said, anybody behind that, it's just the race is over for them.
Looks like Zabel's still in there too. The man about to fourth back off the front. I can see one German rider. That has to be Zabel, surely. So those have survived at the moment. McEwen is there, Zabel's there, Cipollini is there, and is Cursipieu there? I can see from the top shot, yes, Cursipieu is about 15th back from the front. I think we're replaying that crash, and a lot of the Spanish riders have gone down. Has Oscar Freire been taken out of it? Because I can't see a Spanish jersey in that bunch. Can you, Sean?
No.
In fact, there's one. There it is. He's still there.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He's on the wheel too. He's moving through that little yellow jersey with the little squiggle on the shoulders. And there, Cipollini's moving forward. He's got Zabel with him, and he's also got Oscar Freire, and he's got McEwen. And hanging back behind is the purple jersey of the best sprinter, Cursipieu from Estonia.
And total different change to the race here. 35 riders in the front now, so this is going to change a lot for the sprint. Where we had a very, very big bunch, but this crash has knocked a lot of them out. We see there's a guy who was puncturing here at the moment. It looked like a German jersey, actually.
Still the Italians driving hard the front, and they're taking one of the Danish riders with them too at the moment.
Lars Mikkelsen.
Yeah, and he's got a big power. Perhaps he might want to go about a kilometre out.
Yes, he's a danger man for that. He will go for if he's any chance at all, any opening he gets, he will definitely go for if he gets the occasion, a kilometre out, a kilometre and a half out, he would definitely have a go.
McEwen just hovering in there, the little white jersey with the green and yellow bands. Russell's jumping up and down it. Russ, quick, how do you think it's going to go?
I've got to go for Cipollini, but there's a lot of pushing going on. I see McEwen using his shoulders for a BMX rider. That looks like
O'Grady's there.
That's excellent from
So McGrady, a little nudge from McEwen. There's no holes, bars now. This is it. The eyeballs down, eyes looking, and they're looking round for Cipollini, the lead out men, and Zabel's fighting with McEwen to get on the wheel.
Yes,
Sean.
That's what they're all going for. There's Cipollini's wheel. They know it's going to be a good lead out. He's going to go for a long sprint, and Zabel and McEwen is trying to push him off the wheel, push each other off the wheel.
And here they come then, the Italians still doing the lead out, and he pulls off the front. Cipollini's committed himself now. Cipollini's committed himself. Can anybody come off his wheel? They say no, they say no. Cipollini has got it ahead of McEwen, and Zabel into third spot. This man is absolutely brilliant. He retires. He comes back, he rides the Tour of Spain, wins 3 stages, goes to the World Championship, and he just came down that finishing straight and nobody could get past him. He must have been doing 45 miles an hour after racing around this circuit for 5.5 hours, and the Italian team, for once, Sean, worked properly.
Yes, well, they work perfectly. But then when you have a guy like Cipollini, it's 99% sure. And the way he won that one, he's in the sprints. McEwen really on his wheel. I thought he was going to come around him, but so much power. It's just unbelievable.
He's congratulating his teammates, and not only is he doing it down in the track centre, but the other riders coming in that did all that work to do their fantastic driving towards the end, stopping anybody from going away. Look, they're still coming in, the Italians. Every one of them is pleased. I know they're in for a few bob at the end of it all, but to get the championship of the world with Cipollini, and I see other riders smiling here too. Sean, I think he's one of those guys that the rest of the pack will, all of them, want to congratulate him and shake his hand. What do you think? Everybody.
Yes, definitely. The career he's had and what he's brought to the sport as well. Not only with his wins, but the colour he's brought to the sport with his bikes and his gear. That's it's been great for cycling, and the riders and everybody in the cycle sport has have really appreciated that, because it has been a fabulous success for a lot of people and a lot of businesses.
Well, he said he was retiring, wasn't too happy with things. He's come back, and now then, he surely can't retire now, because he's got 40 successes in the Tour of Italy, stage successes. Binder had 41, and if he rides into next year, he can actually exceed Binder's record in the Tour of Italy. But if he does that wearing the rainbow jersey, surely he'll be the next president of Italy.
Yes, well, I think there will be a change in his career now, because he just cannot retire, the beginning of next year with the jersey on his back.
Well, this is the last big programme from Eurosport, by the way. We will not be covering any more road racing from now towards the end of the season. I think it's time to thank you all for viewing our coverage this year, and I think you'll agree with me that this character opened the season up in the Milan-San Remo, winning that one. That was in March. Here he is in October, getting a top and tail to a most successful season. The elation we can see with this man, but he's brought colour to our television screens. We must thank him for that, and I know that all your viewers back at home, some people don't like the guy, but I know lots of non-cyclists who switch on to watch people like Cipollini ride their bikes. They love it. People like Pantani, they love it. They love characters. They love people who prepare to have a go. They love the flamboyance of it all, and this man has illuminated the cycling season so far. You imagine that, winning stage in the Tour of Italy, winning stage in the Tour de France, Tour of Spain, after he was not allowed to ride the Tour de France, and he comes here with a fantastic team. And surely, Sean, the whole of Italy must applaud their team, because normally they fall to pieces towards the end, but this time those riders did a fantastic job.
Yes, they did a fantastic job, and of course the Italian supporters, they love the blue squadra, and the way they walked today, and with Cipollini, the way the sprint went, winning the World Championships like in Italy, like it's a dream for all the supporters, and they're going to be really delighted with the work. And Ballerini, it's a fabulous situation for him to be able to go into the job and pull off a World Championships so early in that job as national team director.
We're looking then at the crash which delayed so many people, but in reality, whilst this lot came to a grinding halt, Sean, the top sprinters were still there. When I can't think of anybody that we've been tipping so far that wasn't in that final gallop for the line of those top sprinters. So they put themselves in the right place. That crash was nasty, but my goodness, the Italians kept this man out of trouble. They kept the speed up, kept the sprinters in contention. There he is, champion of the world. McEwen into second spot. Well, the Australians haven't done bad in this championship of the world either. McEwen then, I think that's the first medal he's ever got in the World Championship, as Martin Bruin, the chief commissaire, the Dutchman here, and then we saw that Hein Verbruggen, the president of the UCI, this is Hein Verbruggen now saying well done, and he's not a very emotional chap, Hein Verbruggen, but I think he's rather pleased now that one of the stars, this is very marketable, this man, isn't he? And we're actually going to hear him live on Eurosport this afternoon, and our colleagues will translate and we'll try and pick it up for you.
Mario Cipollini, campione del mondo 2002 a Zolder, hai mai sognato nella tua vita un giorno di poter indossare la maglia che indosserai tra poco?
He's just asking, have you dreamt about this?
Il sogno di ogni atleta riuscire a portare questa maglia. Direi che comunque il sogno oggi è stato per tutta la gara.
He said the dream of every athlete, and particularly my age, is to win this World Championship.
Tagliando la linea mi sono domandato se fosse un sogno o se stavo vivendo la realtà. Ho capito che è la realtà e speriamo di godercela fino a fondo.
Una corsa perfetta dal punto di vista degli italiani, credo che Mario Cipollini debba parecchio.
Yes, he just said when I came down the finishing straight, I wondered if I was having a dream. He said suddenly no, I knew it was reality.
Testa a testa che ha premiato il migliore.
Sicuramente questa nazionale è stata creata, penso, intorno a me. Ballerini, tutti gli altri corridori hanno fatto un lavoro eccezionale.
He said it was a duel towards the end because of the big pack, and then there was a big fall.
Incredibilmente gioioso da parte di tutta la nazionale. Ci siamo accorti.
But he said right the way through to the end, my teammates were exceptional. They did a great job.
Attorno dei compagni eccezionali ci sono state delle persone che hanno fatto un lavoro incredibile. Io sono arrivato agli ultimi 150 metri con grande forza nelle gambe e sono riuscito a vincere.
Appunto, un po' prima degli ultimi 150 metri ci sono state un paio di
He said that his team did a wonderful job for him all the way through the race. He said they were still there right at the end of the race.
Ma ho avuto paura
that made the difference.
Però sono riuscito, grazie anche l'esperienza, uscire dal...
He's been asked if was he ever afraid about he would have any problems to win.
Del mio treno che mi ha fatto, non so in che maniera poterli ringraziare.
He said I had the experience then, and that's why I came for it. I'm not afraid of danger. I don't have any fear there of the dangers in the sprints.
Questa è stata una stagione incredibilmente bella, direi che ho concentrato in una
So he's asking what you have to say at the end of this.
È veramente incredibile pensare di aver fatto quello che ho fatto quest'anno. Sono entusiasta.
He said it's incredible.
Devo rendermi conto di quello che mi sta succedendo, succederà nelle ore successive.
He said I would never ever thought that I would do that this year.
Con il ciclismo dopo questa vittoria.
But I'm going to take some time to realize exactly what happened today, and also to think about what's going to happen next in my career. Oh, he said the bike has given me something incredible in my life. He said, but I've also had some hard moments in my career.
Grazie Mario Cipollini, congratulazioni ancora al Campione del Mondo su strada 2002 a Zolder.
And he said now that this year has been full of joy and it's going to help me go forward. Well, amazing, that man. Undoubtedly, we hope he'll stay with the sport a long time to come, because he's one of those great characters. But you look back at these are the other riders that support the specialists in the sprints. They're the chaps that some of the domestiques here, they were pushing at the front to do the lead out, to close the gaps down, and they have no rainbow jersey, they have no accolade. They're going to soldier on back down into the finish. They will then go back to their hotel, some of them bruised and battered, but they'll have a great experience there in the World Championships as the presentation is going to take place. Sean, a few words about that as the VIPs get together before the presentation.
Well, 2 points. Cipollini, he said the team was fabulous. They took me to 250 metres. I had unbelievable strength in my legs, and he said, the sprint, are you afraid? No, I'm never afraid, he said.
Not being afraid has given him the gold jersey, gold medal and the rainbow jersey. All the top brass are right now, and the Lion King have been roaring down there in the finishing straight. On the left-hand side is Hein Verbruggen, the president of the UCI. The King of Belgium has been coming here to join us as well. The massive crowd will be congregating in front of the finishing straight, those who want to see the victory ceremony. Others are going off to try and get in their motor cars, and I think they're going to get a special helicopter, I think, for the Italian team to take him out, although I seem to remember, Russell, that there's a great big Akron Sapona coach just round the corner. Do you think we might be able to get in and have a drop of the fizz with them?
I'm sure they'll let you in, David.
Well, yes, that's the bus to girls that Russell's been talking about all week.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Russell, we've been chatting away and going bananas here. A few words from you. And I hope he's all right. And look at the Italian flags too. These are sights we don't normally see. Having a motor race circuit, Sean, this is absolutely out of this, unusual. You would think this is a Formula One motor car race.
Yes, well, it's the Italians are fabulous supporters of the World Championship. We've seen that down through the years. But of course, pulling off this one today, and the guy who pulled it off, it's that bit extra again. So it's normal, like they're so excited about this victory.
What a way to open the season for Mario Cipollini to take the Milan-San Remo. That great ride he did in the Belguim showed he can go across. The way in which he rode the Tour of Italy this year, getting all those stage successes, taking about now 40 stage successes. A shame we didn't see him in the Tour de France, but I think a few political axes were ground there. But my goodness, I hope he comes back next year. They can't stop this man, surely, riding the Tour de France next year in the rainbow jersey with a competent team. Or can they?
Well, you never know, but as he said in his interview also, he said, the plans before this race and the plans for the future will have to be looked at again. So immediately, there's a little bit of maybe a change of mind, and it's going to be very difficult for him to stop next year in the early part of the season, as he was forecasting. I think, he would go on, and he has a lot of records as well out there to surpass. So I would see him maybe, going on next year, because he is selective of the races, and he rides his race, he rides his stage race, he wins a number of stages, and then he goes home. and there's nothing wrong with that because he's so successful, and that's worked best for him. And why not do that if it works out very well for you?
Certainly, and here Robin McEwen took that green jersey Tour de France this year. A bit disappointed, but my goodness, a silver medal ain't bad, is it? I think it's the first time he's ridden the World Championship, and you go back with a silver medal, eh?
Well, you know, a silver medal in the World Professional Road Championships, you know, it's a fabulous achievement. And the Australians, again, you know, their third medal now. They have had a super World Championships, and there's a lot of countries would give a lot just to have one of those medals.
Eric Zabel then shaking hands with Cipollini and McEwen. The medals there, the gold, the silver and the bronze, and here comes the bouquet of flowers. Eric Zabel, my goodness, now at about some 31 years of age, the experience showing on the right hand side. Both these two riders, Cipollini and Eric Zabel, they're no young striplings. There's a lot of experience in sprinting, isn't there, Sean?
Yes, there's definitely a lot of experience in it, and these guys have been around a while, and you know, it's looking good for McEwen because, you know, he's a newer guy on the block. I think, you know, he's probably that much fresher than the rest of them because he hasn't had many maybe hard years like those guys have had. So I think we will see McEwen for a little bit longer than the other two.
We'll be having the national anthem of Italy yet again because they've had, I think it's their third victory. Cipollini, champion of the world. Not only is it, I won't say the climax of his career for Cipollini, but looking back in the records, in fact the Italians have not won the World Championship since 1992 when Bugno won in Benetton. Mario Cipollini, champion of the world. Great elation for the Italians. You can see there that the crowd has just burst through the barriers, the flags are waving, and Mario Cipollini is going to be much, I think, in demand by the press. We do know that after the Tour of Spain, when the winner there, Gonzalo, was saying he went partying after that for his sponsors. I think the parties are going to really, in Monaco when he gets back there, Cipollini, he's going to be welcomed, I think, by the whole of the Principality, and the Italians too. He's a great party guy too, and I think he deserves it. His career at this particular point is absolutely phenomenal. As he goes away, Italy, they're not only having the road race championship with them, but had other medals too as well. But they look back to the fact that Bugno won it in 91 and then 92. They've had a bit of a famine time now, but a great man has just won it then, as Cipollini has taken gold, McEwen silver and Zabel bronze.